in their final match before getting eliminated, they played the Hawkeye to no avail. But now today, Ego Death against Envy definitely could be a viable option. Envy, ooh, maybe they're just immediately gonna get rid of that Black Panther, like you said, Shib. That could be a smart decision considering we've seen the consequences of giving Self that hero.
It's funny though, because the last time these teams met, they knew Self was, really good on that Panther, but they elected to not ban the Panther and instead still took home the win, and it looked really good across the board. They only lost one map one map inside of the domination, and outside of that, just didn't really struggle much. Actually held them on .1. So they played a convoy map. I believe, I'm like 99% sure it was Central Park. Yeah, it was Central Park.
Yeah.
And they held them on .1. So they looked really solid even without banning the Panther. I'm surprised they're doing it now. I thought it was just something that, because in the end of the day, when you're banning that Panther, it is net value because it's a hero that maybe shouldn't always be banned, right?
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that point. That character, that using a ban on that hero can definitely be detrimental in the overall theme, the overall scheme of the macro in the ban phase. But just to kind of maybe go back to what Boger was talking about in our interview, it's like, play where you're comfortable on too, right? Like we've seen Amazing pull at the Iron Man just out of a last second flip out, what Kurova talked about yesterday, how, they just were like, okay, let's just play Iron Man, screw it. And it kind of works. So some teams better at playing certain heroes than others. And you can see Ego Death taking advantage of that Black Panther ban, going for that Human Torch Protect on their side, getting rid of that Ultron that Envy loves to play as well. So both teams definitely targeting each other specifically rather than the overall meta.
Yeah, one thing Ego doesn't do a lot of, they don't really run those mainstream vanguards too much, because obviously you look over and you see these teams running the Venom. They're not afraid to be aggressive, but that could be a detriment. So that's why you see them leaving it open here, because they know they probably won't make that choice. They don't play that strange. The ultimates are just far less valuable not having those two heroes out there.
Not to rag on Boger, but I'm thinking about this now. Like I don't know what he meant. Like when he said North America plays like atypical things, like crazy stuff. Dude, in EMEA today we saw Hulk and Venom in the same like Vanguard lineup. So I don't want to hear it that EMEA doesn't play wild stuff, because they definitely do. And Envy locking that Emma, they think that character can maybe perform a little bit better than that Mag, because it's not banned on both sides. You're right, shit. They're going for those late Vanguard Protect super on in the draft, or super late on the draft system.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I also think EMEA runs Hulk far more than we do here. Obviously, we have some strong Hulks across a few teams, but outside of that, it's almost consistent over there in every single map. As we see it locked in now, heading in to map 1 on Burn-In T'Challa. Domination, we talk about a lot. It's a very, very important to win that first fight if you want a better chance at taking at least the first map section of Burn-In. But outside of that, it's all about climbing back an ult advantage, as we see Cal holding on to that Hela, a choice between Punisher and Hela. We're seeing a lot, but now that Punisher's gone, gonna make the play there.
I want to see what they do, and it's cool to see that back on board of T'Challa, Cal is back in the lineup instead of NK. NK is really good as well. I mean, like, he's like a Bucky player for sure. It's tough that he did lose those 2 matches, but I don't know if it was entirely his fault. Regardless, Cal coming back into the lineup, for him, I imagine in his head, he's just looking to not let it go, right? You use it as motivation in his head. NK is a great player. I've always thought of that, that he can definitely play to a super high level. But Cal, from what we've seen, definitely is that consistency that you would want out of a top tier duelist. Now coming into it, Shib, what was your prediction? You thought Envy's going to win 3-2 here? I think I'm the only one that thinks Ego Death is going to win today, correct?
Yeah, I think, yeah. Yeah, you're the only one who has ego on this one. I think Envy, they performed really well on this team last time, and they've learned just from seeing it there, not banning that Emma or Mag. They're not too afraid because they know that Ego, they don't have a lot of experience running that Emma, so it's just not even worth the ban. As you see Kaluj and Window getting that Emma and Mag combination, which at this state in the meta is very strong, at least from what we're seeing here in NA. Sambal, though, going to be on that Venom, seeing some value there, just the ultimates. It has found some big ultimates, but not nearly as impactful in the grand scheme of things on picks.
And it's fun to see that we do have that team up alongside Mag and Emma, like you said. And speaking of Magneto, I mean, this character, according to our producer Michael, has been picked 51 times, most out of every other character in terms of the lock phase. So interesting to see how the dominance of Magneto has impacted the region of North America.
And we do begin with the fight early, just looking for spacing and owning this coverage. Cal with a nice pick on momentum there. That's a nice start here for Envy. Make that 2 as Zatex goes down, and that's enough space early on as Cal's keeping the pressure up. Kaluj on a Soko, and numbers are falling, and early on here, Envy is going to own this point as they hold on and just start up the ticker.
That is insane that Envy now get to play the Loki alongside Luna Snow, seen as one of the best back lines in the entire game, alongside Emma and Magneto, one of the other craziest front lines of the game. So interesting that Iguodad sort of let those go through in that ban phase. Meanwhile, having to play something alongside that Venom, you know, they like you said, Shib, earlier, Samba loves to play that character, go for those one shots alongside the dive. So curious to see how it pans out. Right now, Envy in the lead of the point.
Yeah, Ego has Coach Jitward, who did make some. I like the decision against, you know, going after Terra. They're making a unique decision on 100 Thieves in a different banning phase that almost, you know, looked really strong for them at first. Obviously, let through some strategists that were strong, like Harvey's Loki, which ended up biting them in the end. But still, those unique decisions. So maybe we're not understanding something here. I mean, I'm sure, you know, we'll have that discussion if they do proceed with this win. Up in the sky, we go with Window. Do we see the dunk into the back line? Waits out the crystal. What a throw there on a momentum. Window with an early pick. And once again, Envy up in numbers at the start here. Self up in the sky, trying to find value with Speedery onto Soko with the dance of the butterfly. The cutterfly always finding value here for Speedery as Kalush takes out Self.
Yeah, right now, Envy's looking just dominant. I mean, just kind of destroying Ego Death, and they also get speedily on the sidewalk. So many characters, so many players of Envy right now on their comfort picks, and it just turns out to be some of the comfort picks are absolutely insane this patch. Zatex swapping back over to the Hela. He feels like he has to match Cal, but right now, 70% on the board. You have pretty good ultimates in the bank, but it's a matter of how can you use them right now. Envy, they'll be playing back around Nero and his Fate of the Worlds. We'll see if anybody can live outside of that ultimate coming through from Sample.
Yeah, it's deep right now. 83%. It's one fight territory on the retake. Should they lose from alt advantage? Ego is up in alt advantage here. We'll see if they can get value up. Momentum gonna copy. Didn't see the choice yet. Soko holding on here, ready to launch that meteor if need be. And there is the Psionic Seduction. A ton of Qs being popped now. Will this land? You gotta break that shield. No, you don't when you take that much damage. Soko onto Nero. That's a nice start here for Ego, who needs to shift this momentum as they're holding on to 99 on the side of Envy. Zatex onto Cal, and that is going to be the trade. The Hella battle is won there by Zatex, and they are now going to keep the pressure on. Another pick here on a Kalush shortly. Sample on a month. Down goes Window from Zatex, and there we go. Ego finding their footing and trying to get some percentage here.
Yeah, desperately needed indeed, and that was a huge pick on De Niro. And also, it's interesting that we do have that Doctor Strange get through, because I think last time Envy did sort of prioritize the protection, or rather ban of the Doctor Strange on certain maps. So both teams have that opportunity to teleport back towards that point. Meanwhile, Ego Death do have the invisible boundary alongside the Supernova. Envy, they can react to it. They do have Loki and his clones alongside those crystals to stay alive. We'll see how they react alongside Window to potentially connect with that Meteor M onto Soko, or onto Self.
And alt advantage heavily in the favor of Envy on this fight, but Self going to get out there with the Supernova, just taking that space and trying to buy some time. 40% here, but not even halfway to the opposition. Self holding up in that sky. We talk about how strong of a torch Self can be, but it's a little more scary. Luckily does have that shield from Invis, but a little more scary into a Hela. Obviously just applying pressure, but if anyone's going to be in the sky against a Hela, it should be the torch. Here comes the Meteor M. Doesn't land from downtown. It does not, as they do pull out those crystals. Cooldown is a little bit of a nice trade there. Window onto Far. That's a good start here for Envy, who wants to retake. Speedery on a momentum. Alt advantage now in the favor of Ego. Can they turn this back around? Speedery finds a second, make that 3 as Window finds Zatex and Cal on Ensemble, and now they're in the danger zone. Not 100% sure if Stranger's banned, but if not, that needs to be chosen, and it looks like it's not going to happen as Envy takes point 1.
Unfortunately, team wiped too much time off the bank, and the overtime was ticking down, so that's not going to come through in that map. But now we go to Stellar Spaceport. Up 1 right now is Team Envy, because they disengaged that Supernova. I mean, they just kind of walked away. They understood they had a lot of time to work with, which is kind of rare to say when we talk about domination because of how fast things move. But because they got to 99, just go for that reset. They had time that is disengaged Self's ultimate. Then we could see Window save his Meteor M for the Hela ultimate on the opposite side. The Goddess of Death from Zatex pretty much entirely negated. And overall, just really good work getting out those Stratus ultimates alongside Speedily, coming through, forcing the invisible boundary after the crystals were forced for momentum. So right now, I mean, just clinical from Envy. Not panicking is the big thing, and just sort of taking their time, slowly but surely enabling themselves to take the point. You know, they do sort of have that better backline duo technically than the Invisible Woman. So because they were able to force Ego Death onto these other heroes, play more around their torch, it's resulted in Envy getting a lot of space in other departments.
Yeah, we had a conversation with Cal, and Cal said, I'm getting to China one way or another. The confidence is clearly showing here as they are doing their job keeping Self at bay. No final hits there for Self at the first map, and we are going to press forward. Alt advantage going to be on the side of Ego. We talked about getting that point early. That can be important. Speedery playing lights out right now, 11-0. Very terrifying to go against the Psylocke, who can clone up with the V button and makes that insta KO much more viable and much faster. It's terrifying to go against a very strong Psylocke that does not miss with the clone out.
We talk about top Psylocke. He's definitely the top or one of the top alongside Tap. Now coming to the point. Oh no, Kaluj getting deleted. Fate of the World is a little bit too late from Nero, resulting in his Emma Frost going down.
And Ego does have point early, and they are going to drop Speedery, holding on to the rest of the Qs. Nero, like you said, just slightly a little bit too behind. Cal going to find Far, though. They may be able to retake this quickly and be up in numbers, but Ego holding on to that point early. Ults roughly even in this next fight. Here comes the Meteor M. Up it goes. The space ball special doesn't land, and downtown it does as momentum goes down. Cal going to find Self to window onto Zatex. Even more value, and these meta vanguards here for Envy are really showcasing how strong they can be when you're running this duo. This Emma with the mag, double bubble, and the double split there for Psylocke. Such a threatening duo.
Yeah, I think we talked about how good, like you said, that this duo is, but also, yeah, I mean, just window legacy game, it feels like, you know, earlier on, having a big Meteor M, finding pickoffs in the middle of fights. You talked about it, Shib, perfectly. I think this guy really is an insane Magneto player and has taken full advantage of his hero.
Yeah, Window is playing lights out right now, finding fights in the neutral, just these right clicks landing. You just see the patience on the left click. I get asked a lot, do you just hold down the left click while you're fighting with Mag? No, you got to be patient and shoot when you are, like when you see an opportunity. Don't let the game shoot for you. Zatex finds Speedery early though, and Ego now up in numbers, but still not holding point, roughly only 10% above. Self on a Cal is a good start here again. Ego does have Soko's ultimate here. Will we see a good meteor? Will the meatball land on the back line? Just fighting over point now, a lot of trading and damage. Self dealing so much damage down goes Window Month and Kaluj, and Ego now retakes the point. Speedery trying to find one and does. Zatex goes down. Momentum turns it back on Speedery, and now Ego will get this point back at 31. And these fights are so back and forth as we see ult advantage going to be roughly even in this next bout.
And pressure is building, right? This is all or nothing for both of these teams. Map number one is huge in terms of gaining a momentum advantage over the other team, and also qualifying for land, because if you don't win today, you're going to have to go back into the next stage and try again. So right now for Team Envy, looking to close out, but they have to come back through, cap the point over Ego Death, who has a good bank of ultimates ready to go.
And the engagement begins. Ego Death up with 4, and here comes the dance floor. Somble getting ready for the feast. You will see that damage boost switch shortly. Trying to get a pick there, but up goes the Meteor, trying to stop that a little bit, because, you know, if they're setting up that play, it's a little easier to land that Meteor. And here it goes from Soko fighting Cal and Month. In return, Speedery onto Self. Numbers are still up here for Ego, who are holding on to the point at 80%. Can they take map 2 and push this to map 3? Kalush turns it. Speedery finds Soko too, and now Envy is doing a good job owning this point. Window taking out Zatex. Wow, what a switch.
Yeah, that Sonic Seduction was massive from Kaluj. Just came through on the backside. You saw that switch of, you know, target focus towards the back left side. I mean, everybody's low, but the sort of disengage from Envy worked out again. I mean, they're so good at just kind of walking away, getting the health packs, making sure they're allowing their teammates to come through and support them if they're in a tough fight. In Ego Death, I mean, they just sort of got baited into Kaluj's ultimate. So right there, we see another reason why Emma Frost and Magneto just pop off. So right now, Envy sitting back defensively, have that Goddess of Death ready to go. Far does have the invisible boundary alongside that Supernova. We'll see if they can create space for it, though. I want to see this invisible boundary maybe more towards that point, but it's going to be hard to do it as Envy has a lot of pressure.
And here comes the Supernova directly on the point, taking that space. They drop back together. Cal finding Somble early is huge for the side of Envy, as the numbers are now back in their favor. Q's being popped. Speedery on a Far, and they're in trouble through the boundary. Speedery and get collusion. Window now finding value. Cal onto Self, and that is the danger zone. That could be enough here, as they will not be able to touch, and Envy are going to take the entire Speedery of map 1. Saba touches. I might have spoke too soon. Can the team get here? Saba falls to Month, and now they're going to be down in this next fight as it is again back in the danger zone. They do make that switch to Strange in time. Great touch there, but they won't have numbers. Can they hold on? Speedery holds on to the Q, and here it goes. Down goes one. Zatex make it 2-3 as Speedery gets a quad to end it and take map 1.
What a game number 1 for Envy, and that is a statement game considering they lost this map versus FlyQuest in the lower brackets earlier on, and to win it 2-0 with Cal coming through, and that was just such a well-timed ultimate from Cal as well. I mean, he was about to go down to self, coming through with that right-click combo in the Human Torch, but he just used the ultimate to sort of save his own life, then fly back to a health pack. So I feel like Cal has definitely improved in terms of ultimate usage throughout his career so far in Marvel Rivals. We'll see if he can keep it up, and we'll see if Envy can keep it up, though, because that game number 1, I think they got a lot of what they wanted, right, Shiv? I mean, they protected the Storm in case they did want it. They still got to play Psylocke alongside Emma Frost, so it felt like Ego Death in terms of their ban phase maybe wasn't perfect. I mean, they got rid of that Punisher, they got rid of Wolverine, but it felt like it wasn't really dictated towards the side of Envy and their strengths. But it's tough because you're against a team like Envy, who it seems like are really improving at a flexible, at their flexibility right now, Shiv.
Yeah, I just don't like, I see the learning because they struggled last time into that Storm Ultron combination, but leaving both of those Vanguards on the table and allowing Speedery to play a fully unleashed Psylocke is just asking for danger. And they, you see it there, a ton of value in the neutrals almost every time there from Speedery. So I think they had something like 15 finals, looking really, really good off the rip here. But we do say domination is very much anyone's game. So will things change as dive gets more prevalent as we head towards Convoy and Convergence?
I think it might. I think it definitely might. As we move forward, you're right. I want to see, it depends on which heroes they're going to let through Ego Death. I think there's a lot to focus on Team Envy's side. So we'll see if they can focus up. We talked about how teams will think domination maybe is that first feel map. You got to see what's sort of good, what you can play. As Envy right now, obviously that game number 1 was huge. I mean, massive in terms of momentum shift. Just to keep that momentum on their side as well. Winning on domination is huge. Now we got to go on to a different domination map potentially later on. Didn't see a lot of that Namor that I think was that we've seen in other regions and stuff. I know it's a potential, especially versus that Psylocke versus a lot of these tank heroes, but I mean, Ego Death did just get kind of stomped on that second phase. It was close back and forth, but it depends on where we go, and it depends on how much that Human Torch can get done on self side.
Yeah, and a well-deserved MVP here by Window, a rare Vanguard MVP, as a lot of the time we see that strategist role taking that, especially with Loki on the board there from Month, who did an incredible job there with the Loki with the most healing in the game. But Window, 23-2, 11 finals. You're, like we said, in those neutrals, anytime there was anyone available, even out of the sky, finding value with that right and left click combination, which is devastating, especially when you can double up your bubble and ensure that you have more of those right clicks ready.
Yep. A lot of that stuff is definitely important in terms of what he's been doing. I mean, Window, like you said, I mean, he's just kind of playing so out of his mind right now that they definitely could play around him. Like, it seems like Collusion, we talked about how he has a good Magneto, and that was sort of the odd part about Window joining Envy is because they have a very similar hero pool, Collusion, Window, but the flexibility of Window has been massive for this team. We'll see if he can keep it up into the future maps and still be like a really good Magneto player. So today's a big day for all of these players, right? It is going to be all on the line, considering Envy right now really want to keep their tournament hopes alive and qualify for China. So it's not just a big day for Saba, it's also a big day for us over here at Marvel Rivals and these teams. We're going to go to a short break. We'll come back into this map number 2.
Envy taking map 1, but what will be the choice of map, whether it's Convoy or Convergence from Ego Death, and will it play into their divey strategy?
I don't know. I mean, I think it might be over to that Convoy more than likely, but we'll see as it pans out for Ego Death. I know they want to play probably these maps that potentially you could play Black Panther in or Human Torch, right? Maybe we'll see what happens when they decide to play that later, or what map they'll play later.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
By the way, Shib, I don't know if you remember this, but I know that you've been doing a lot of co-streaming. I know you stream a lot yourself. Twitch drops are available. Just by the way, we do have those magic Twitch drops currently right now. So if you are watching, you are currently eligible to getting that magic skin. We can watch right now. You can get that skin, man. And you talk about how good that skin looks, especially in that Dark Child, right?
Yeah, I love the color palette of these skins across the board. I'm excited to see who we're going to get next. The Magic skin, obviously, I grabbed that thing day one, been watching every minute of this tournament, which, you know, I'm just passionate about this scene. It's been a ton of fun to watch, but that Magic skin obviously does translate when you go into Darkchild. I love the look of how she looks in Darkchild with this layout. I think that these skins are slept on, and they are, you know, when you miss them, they're gone. So you got to get them now. 6 hours to get the skin. Do not miss out.
But Shib, does the skill of like somebody like Rymazing, who is a notoriously good Magic player, transfer when I get that skin? That's the real question.
Yes.
They do. Okay. All right. You heard it here first. You magically become a better player when you equip that skin. Make sure to grab it. It's free too, totally free. So you can't really sue us for lying, because it's not like we force you monetarily to get that skin. Anyways, next up we have map number 2. I don't know, Shib. I'm curious to see what they do plan on going to, because I don't know. Do you think they go to a map like a Rocco, maybe something like that, to give yourself that, like, you know, those flank potentials, those high grounds to kind of hide and just be like a nuisance on Human Torch or on Black Panther?
Yeah, I would expect to see Araco. I think it plays well into their diving composition. It gives you a lot of escape routes with those teleports, but maybe they've been working on something, right? These teams have studied each other. They have played before. Last time, obviously, Envy did take home that win 2-0, and I'm sure they've been doing their research. I think the ban phase is going to change a little bit. I wasn't 100% convinced with what happened there on ban 1, but, you know, you got to trust Coach Jitward, who has found some success and has looked really good in the past. As we move forward, let's see what they do.
You gotta trust Coach Jitward, even though he's been banned permanently. That's definitely the interesting fact about Ego Death. I don't know how much we want to actually talk about it, because there's a lot of free Jitward in the chat, I imagine. But you know what? If I didn't have any problems when he was in my game, you know, he's playing Spider-Man. I mean, he was feeding and we did lose, but you know, maybe that wasn't Jitward's fault. You know, maybe it was a team's fault. We let Jitward down. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it is. At the end of the day, if you let your Spider-Man win tricks down, they don't let you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a team game, right? You know, you just gotta, you gotta take your blame.
Take the blame. Take the blame. Yep, team div. That's probably what Jitward's saying. He said the bans weren't my favorite, guys. Maybe if you let me do the banning, we would have won this rank game. That's probably what he was saying in his head. But anyways, now we're going into an Ultron ban, Human Torch ban for Ego Death, getting rid of any potential like counter dive for the Human Torch again, which is going to get through.
Yeah, I don't think we're seeing too much change. So you're going to see a lot of this Stormlock here for the side of Envy, because that's where they found a lot of, you know, value against this team and the last time they had met up. And I think, yeah, it forces the Ultron ban, which we see there from the side of Ego. Ego, obviously, you know, we talk about how this team has made it so far, an unsigned team led by their coach, who are feeling very confident. It is, you know, it's a Cinderella story. I'm sure they have a ton of fans in the chat who are excited to see them play, you know, this deep into the tournament, so close to getting to LAN and taking that 3rd spot. So exciting there. But, you know, we do see a change up in bans here. They're going to get rid of that Wolverine. Cal was running that Wolverine last time they had met up, and it was a problem. Cal, a mean Wolverine. Honestly, we've seen Cal on virtually everything. We even witnessed his first Magneto game yesterday, and he was landing every meteor. So he just got what it takes to fill these roles if need be.
You know, we go for that AMER ban on the opposite side as well. You know, just to make sure that Ego Death can't play that team up alongside the Psylocke that is now protected. But, you know, we have to talk about, you know, that Loki potential now to go through for Ego Death, and potentially if they're going to get rid of it as well. I mean, they've already banned out the Ultron, so maybe we can see that sort of appeal. We see the Emma Frost Protect makes sense because they did so well on it last time. I'm curious if they'll touch the Mag or that Magneto, but it's a lot of duelist focus today, Shiv.
Yeah, I agree. And Kalush is going to be back on the Emma there, obviously, with the lock in here. You're right, though. It seems to be very much let's lock out some of these duelists. Obviously, there's going to be focus there on the side of Speedery and Cal. So definitely a strategy they clearly believe in, right? So let's just see if it works out for them, as we are at Central Park. This is not expected, because the last time they were here together, this is crazy, because last time they were here, Envy pushed this all 3 points, and Ego got held on point 1, but they're electing to defend first.
Yeah, I wonder why they picked this. I mean, maybe we saw because they had a close game versus 100 Thieves on this map, so it's definitely not a bad map for them, I guess, in terms of practice. So we'll see if it kind of shows on the main stage. On the opposite side, Envy, I think, has had the most Storm gameplay we've seen so far, right? I mean, it feels like on Central Park, this is definitely a staple for them to play that hero, alongside the fact that, you know, Storm is just so strong in Speedy's hands. I don't know, Shib. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway I have. I'm curious what your take is on this. It feels like in this Ignite series, we've seen so many players that are really good at like one specific hero, right? It does feel that way, right? That it feels like there's so many heroes that have become a staple in terms of these players' hero pool, right? With Speedily on Storm, right? Amazing on Iron Man. You know, it does feel like this tournament really has doubly proved that, right?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we see a lot of that, and I think it's also just who shows up in the moment. I think all of us as viewers can get a little distracted is when we see success on a hero, we immediately assume, oh, that is their hero, but you never know how deep the pool goes. Is it a hero pool? Is it a hero puddle? Or is it a hero ocean? And I think a lot of these players have an ocean, which is very difficult to ban out. As you saw Terra, even for example, yesterday, they went very hard when the side of Ego Death of banning Terra out from 100 Thieves and still was able to find a ton of value there on Hela despite all of the ban outs. So that's an example of having a hero ocean. It's just very difficult to ban out. Wow, that was almost a very early pick there on Ensemble from the side of Envy, excuse me.
And you're talking about how deep hero pool is right now. Sambo, I mean, he definitely seen him on Venom so much, but oh no, Cal's there with that shotgun. He in the interview talked about how yesterday versus dive, you need to be on this Punisher to kind of deal with those Venom dives. Also, Self's onto Iron Fist of all things, but he's just losing teammates left after or right, just left and right after one another.
Yeah, I think Envy is feeling really confident on this map. This is a decision I'm not 100% convinced on in terms of choosing this map. Wow, we're going to see Self here actually on the Fist. That does go down quickly. Kaluj finding a few picks there in the first fight. Here comes the teleport. The hold was long enough. Out go Crystals from the side of Ego as they're holding on. Speedery is going to be there on that Storm. And that Storm, a ton of value in pulling out cooldowns. Cal, great positioning here with the turret. Muff's going to find Zatex early as Envy is now up in numbers. Kaluj on a Soko. Sample finding a pick on a Cal, though. Nero going to turn that right back and find two more with two headshots. Nero, a mean hit scan strategist, finding value with a ton of backline heroes and getting those picks. Nice shots there by Nero.
And that character definitely has a huge improvement in that department, like you said, Shib. So we'll see what Ego Death opts to do. I mean, the Iron Fist, we haven't seen work too much. I think we've seen one team pull it out, and it worked successfully. But outside of that, I mean, it makes sense versus Flyers to play that Iron Fist. It's just easy to kind of track them down. But unfortunately, he's just going to take a lot of perpetual damage from Storm. Meanwhile, early Hurricane pop from Speedily.
Yeah, and that's just going to pull out cooldowns. Up goes the Meteor. Good idea there, trying to lead. But no, does not find value just yet. We see Far taking out Window early. Now for Ego, who are holding on. It will have ult advantage in this next fight. Envy going to be slowly but surely coming back. Speedery on his Atex. Now Cal with the Meteor from Soko back in a month. And Cal, nice turnaround there. Crystals clearly were burned, or that would have kept them up. The patience there was strong. Far on Speedery now running them back into the spawn door. But Sambo the only one with ult at this moment.
Definitely a staple of Soko so far, finding two with that Meteor M. He's going to need to keep doing stuff like that, maybe finding opening picks like Window has so far. It's definitely harder without that Emma Frost team up, considering, you know, you get a little bit more damage downrange with that Mirror team up. So, you know, we'll see how Soko tends to do, but he needs to definitely pop off for this team on Ego Death's side for them to have a chance.
Remember, folks, this is a best of 5, so it will not end here if Envy does clinch this up. Window with a 2-piece immediately on Ensemble and Self. And you may be saying, how does that right click come back so quick? If you pop the shield, every 100 damage onto the shield is 1 tick of that right click. If it fully is bursted, it's a complete reset. So make sure you're using that right click before your shield gets popped, and you'll have one ready again. Window on a momentum again. Kaluj gonna find another pick, and wow, I don't think you can allow these Vanguards on Envy to get who they want. It's just finding so much value, especially into something like Venom, where Emma can just carbon crush and punt him into a wall. Kaluj on Ensemble, as I'm saying, that gets value. And here comes the Eternal Bond from the side of Ego. Will it hold on as Zatex takes out Speedery now? Numbers back in the favor of Ego, who will have more ults. Sabo coming back quickly. That is something Venom can do fast. Zatex does have that Goddess of Death, and I'm assuming that'll be popped here relatively quickly whenever they find themselves in a dangerous position. Here comes Self using the ult and popping off a little bit. Soko gonna find Cal. Self on a Window, and that's what you want to see if you're an Iron Fist fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that early pick, though, onto Speedily resulted in that sort of fight happening like it did. I mean, Self onto the Iron Fist just kind of runs towards that spawn, but took advantage of the situation Ego Death was in. By the way, using both strategist ultimates, though. So Envy, I mean, you got to feel somewhat comfortable about that. You still have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. You still have strategist ultimates, but you do have Soko on the opposite side with that Meteor M. I mean, he could shut down everything once Nero and his overhealth goes away. We'll see how they deal with it. I mean, Window has been crazy with these opening picks and bubbles. We'll see what happens. Sambo, the early bubble on his side to save himself out there.
There's no counter right now. A strategist all, but not needed. Great positioning there. Window from downtown onto far. And can it be returned from Soko? Waiting on these crystals. Looking at Cal. Cal with a good avoidance there. Using that ultimate to I-frame the meteor. Really smart play. Turn it right back and take out Soko. Return to sender. Beautiful play by Cal. Window onto Zatex. You're going to see Envy using everything now. There's no counter at this moment. Down and goes momentum from Speedery. Kaluge gonna find Sambo and Self falls, and that's gonna be point 2.
It may be a little bit too much pressure on Soko there to find those picks. Zatex now swapping over to the Punisher, maybe just to get some more damage downrange alongside having that ultimate. Such a good ultimate in the game. Generally, just like that Punisher can run at you, just kind of smoke you. Depending on the situation you're in, that ult is just gets so much value, honestly, in general. So Envy, this team, we'll see how they can disengage when that ultimate does come online, but you called it out. I mean, Window has been popping off right now onto the Magneto. Map number 1, number 2, I mean, it seems like he hasn't slowed down.
You may be asking yourself, why is this team pushed so far up? It's called taking the space for those who may be climbing a ladder relatively early on. You want to try to own this space, forcing that card to have free movement without being contested, giving your team a lot of like positioning advantage, right? They get set up here before they come back into the fight. And here we go. Sambo going to engage with that Feast of the Abyss. It does not manage to find any picks just yet. Self trying to take this off angle, looking for the Storm. Not able to find just yet any value. Window going to keep that pressure up, building towards the Meteor M, which is now getting pretty close, and he's up with it. Will it land? Looking towards the back line again on a far, not going to find value just yet. Nero now and Speedery ready to press the Q button as Kaluge is going to start this Psionic Seduction and give them some free time to make these plays happen. Soko been finding a ton of value, not able to do it there. Speedery going to use that Hurricane and finds far early, and that is a scary pick as you're losing these strategists. Now your front line falls as Kaluge collapses onto Soko. Speedery onto Sambo, and there's no front line now. Zatex got to clutch up, not able to do so as Cal finds 2 more, and that could be enough here for Envy to push to point 3.
I mean, you have the Feast of Abyss available, but Sambo's going to have to delay for a long time against Cal in that Goddess of Death. 2 meters, 1 meter left. Nobody even gets on. He's pushed away, I believe, by the Magneto there. So regardless, great zoning from Team Envy. And that was just such a tough map for Ego Death Shib. It just felt like everything, every single corner, they just were not able to string together fights, whether it be Window finding picks, whether it be the disengages of Meteor M's. And it almost worked out. Like, I was impressed with how far disengaged these ultimates from Window every single time with the Eternal Bond, able to get away just in the nick of time from Window in the Meteor M. But at the same time, it didn't really matter because it felt like every time Sambo was engaging, everybody has to kind of turn, focus on Sambo's dive, and then the strategists kind of get caught out after that. So it's an odd situation to be in for Ego Death right now, as they're constantly playing on that back foot.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about this map choice here. I mean, will history repeat itself? It's the exact same situation where Envy pushes through 3 and then they hold them on point 1. We're gonna see if something changes here. Obviously, the bands are slightly different and the composition is different, but I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this.
30 seconds before
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I mean, they locked that Human Torch. They wanted to try to play the Iron Man along, or not the Iron Man, the Iron Fist alongside the Hela. But for them, it just didn't work out. I mean, they swapped off the Hela. They went to Punisher. I mean, you can kind of see the vibes, the idea behind it. But for the ability to protect Human Torch and then not play it is kind of rough. So I don't know. Maybe this is my problem with, like, I think Human Torch is a great hero, like Broger said, but you know, there's more to the game than just that, right? It's more to the game than just one hero. And I think personally, I think Human Torch can be at points kind of overrated, but we'll see how things kind of progress moving forward. You can see, you know, Storm, such a strong hero in its own right. I mean, it just kind of enables Envy to get so much damage as well as find early pickoffs and then have a Hurricane just to disrupt backline and maybe follow through on 2 eliminations after Shredder's ultimates were popped earlier.
Yeah, Envy and Speedery are the team that have been finding the most value with Storm. We talk about damage boost being so important right now in the meta. You're finding that when you have this damage boost, things like Cal here on the Punisher, that those shots, those hit scan shots are now far more valuable with the extra little bit. You know, you always see enemies just slightly getting away. That now goes out the window as you have that damage boost. All those picks are getting, you know, secured. So we do see a hold here from the beginning. Window just taking some damage to the back line. You may be saying, why are they playing out in the open? A little bit here. The goal is to just, you know, allow your strategist to heal up until you get into a more dangerous position. Now you see the rotation over to this natural cover, and that is how you need to play Vanguard at this level.
A bit of difficulty right now as well for Ego Death is now swapping over the Human Torch. Every single flyer, it feels like, is super strong in this meta, but now this fight's going on. So it goes in immediately, one-shot speedily through the Fate of the Worlds.
Yeah, good play there by Self. Great positioning and timing, knowing that engagement window. Speaking of window, is going to be dunked on here by Zatex, and everyone is hit. Will they find any value? Will the pick in the reset start? No, it will not. Great positioning, great retake. They're going to give them a few ticks and then drop back in here and try to take over the point. We will see Speedery drop in right now with Dr. Strange, allowing Envy to hold on tightly. You see up there, Month is just creating a billion clones and raining down on the backline as Cal is just right next to him, and they find Zatex. That amount of damage, when you have a Loki set up like that on high ground, that needs to go bye-bye. You got to get rid of that equipment. The turret and the triple Loki clones cannot be allowed to hold up there.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Ego Death, it cost them momentum found early with the ultimate too. That could have been the saving grace for Ego Death to stay alive on that objective, but right now we're going to have to regroup around this. Captain America. It should give them some extra survivability with that freedom charge, maybe to pop other ultimates as well, but Envy's also coming up on double shredded ultimates as well, so we'll see how Ego Death wants to do this. Those early picks himself has been huge, but I mean, on the opposite side, you have to worry about Cal, who now has that final judgment.
Yeah, he hasn't left this point. He's been holding here forever, and this is just a super powerful position. Already has that final judgment ready to make a play, and that is very difficult to power through, especially when you have that Magneto bubble from Window to help Cal out, and their entirety of Envy now has ultimate. Out goes the eye from Speedery, and it gets a few as Cal cleans up far. Zatex goes down, and they're off by 2 in numbers now, pressing forward and driving them back to the spawn door, and they've only got a minute 15 on as we're in 2 to max 3 fight territory with a retake teleport.
I think I'm with you on the map choice, Shib. We'll see with a minute left to go. I mean, there wasn't even that many ults popped. They just mucked the copy. But I think you made a good point how maybe, I don't know, this map choice is not panning out currently for Ego Death. I mean, I know it's probably going well in scripts and stuff, but as it stands, they have 54 seconds left to go. Pretty even in terms of ultimate charge right now. Everything is sort of favored for Envy, who fully capped out the map with a lot of time in the bank.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not quite convinced, Red. I think this is exactly what we saw the last matchup here. We got to see Ego step up. Here comes Zatex with the final judgment. Sambo on him up. That's a good start here. Ego now up by 2 as Cal goes down. And ult's going to be used from Cal. Soko turns it back on to Nero, though. It looks like Ego is up heavy in numbers. No teleport to come through. They will get point 1. And that is what you needed to see if you're looking for Ego to move on here. Well played by Ego to pressure through with 19 seconds on the clock.
Yep, absolutely. King of cursing teams, because we talked about how Ego Death maybe on this map choice not the best, but regardless, they were able to kind of close out through, pop those ultimates at the right time. I mean, that was excellent teamwork, like you mentioned, and we're seeing maybe why they did pick the map, but they still only have 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the streets phase. If you lose one fight, it's going to feel so close, especially even with that Doctor Strange portal. See what MB wants to do here as they're coming close to that Loki copy, and Momentum has his own. We'll see how they want to react. Maybe pop it early, commit that early eternal bond to run towards MB's backline.
I have to go back and check, but I believe Ego was down there on ult, so they just found more value, which is, good on them. It's dangerous, especially when you're you being on offense. When you're in the offensive position and you're walking in, you don't really have that positioning advantage. Momentum gonna find Kaluj. Ego keeping up the momentum they had from before. Speaking of momentum, looking for Speedery in the sky. We might see something here as Month on the side of MB is gonna bring out the dance floor and hold on and just try to stall here around this corner, which is a defensible position. Self gonna find Speedery though, and then down goes another as Ego will have ult advantage. Sabo onto Cal, and they do have the momentum now as we see the rest of the team slowly trickle away, and they are going to try to push this thing forward and have at most probably 2 fights here to make sure they get point 2.
Excellent work from Ego Death. They have to do it though right here. Envy coming back into it. Kaluj got kind of caught out there by Ego Death with that freedom charge. Just kind of chased down Kaluj on that backside. Wasn't able to really move anywhere else towards his team and got definitely caught out. Now here comes this early supernova at the choke point from Self.
And the Hurricane comes out here for Speedery. You're going to walk directly in, waiting out that ultimate there from the side of Zatex, who is trying to keep the pressure out. Cal doing the same thing. Out go all of the defensible cooldowns. They are keeping pressure on the Momentum's clones in the back. Good utilization there. And they are down again as Soko finds Window. Ego winning all of these fights. And as I say that, Speedery onto Self now, evening out the odds a little bit. The positioning dancing around that natural cover of point. Cal onto Sable is huge. Speedery onto Zatex. Month on Soko. Cal again on Momentum, and that is the entirety of Team Ego going down. And we got to show the change here from Sabo onto Cap has clearly gotten value off of that, changing off of that Venom.
Yeah, it definitely has, but I think that was excellently disengaged by Ego Death, but it didn't matter for Team Envy, who eventually just kind of forced out too many cooldowns, right? Giving too many sustain abilities out early and then just kind of had to clean up afterwards. It was almost there for Soko finding that pick onto Team Envy, but speedily evened it up, and now we're entering 20 or 12 seconds left to go. Sambo comes in with the Freedom Charge. They do have some to work with, but now it's into the Psionic Seduction.
Sambo going to use that Freedom Charge, and that's essentially a strategist ultimate, just dancing around the team, keeping everyone healthy. Good play there to counteract the side. Oh my.
1, 2, 3.
What, man? Can we? Oh, there's so many C9s. There's so many not touching the carts. Oh my goodness.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, why is everyone slowing down? Oof, that is tough. The entirety of the team was too afraid of the Psionic Seduction, and that drove them backwards. Lost track of time. You can't do that at this level of play as they walk off. And Envy takes map 2.
I just don't want to see, you know, just bad Marvel rivals. It's not that they played bad. It's just like that last fight was just so unfortunate for sure, not touching the payload. It happens to the best of us, but now they're down in an 0-2 deficit in their final chance to make it to this qualifiers, to make it to the LAN and to push forward into this tournament. Envy are one map away, not from qualifying from LAN necessarily, but going up against whoever wins out of SDX and Techie XD. Whoever wins that matchup is going to get to China, so we'll have to see what happens then. But regardless, right now, I mean, Envy are so close to getting it done, Shib, and this team, they have the experience to do it as well. So I'd be definitely a bit scared now moving forward for Ego Death as they move on to a convoy map.
Oh man, Cal with 12 finals there. Top damage, or at least finals on the side of Envy, looked really good. That was a tough look. It's all about comms in those moments. The problem is when you have that ult popped, I'm sure there's a lot of panic, right? And that's where comms get hidden. It's all about trying to yell the touch point, and maybe it gets drowned out by some of the comms from your team trying to play around that Freedom Charge from Cap, and next thing you know, you just aren't on the point and you lose it, and that just cannot happen at this level. You mentioned, you know, maybe be quote-unquote bad Marvel rivals, but more so just the stuff that you can't do at this level of play if you want to move forward, and that is one of those situations. A lot of good plays on both sides, and I really liked the attack there for a while from Ego, especially after they were able to get through point 1, but they were on a rampage and just kind of fell apart at the very end.
Yeah, I mean, there's always context, right? I'm sure somebody's gonna have to clip that, go back through and kind of see exactly what happened, because I think it's exactly as you called it, Shib. I think that Psionic Seduction really screwed him over. Month is gonna take home that MVP. I mean, we see so many of these players just on strategist roles take home MVP after maps due to how the algorithm is and stuff. So fantastic work from Month. I think the strategist play so far in the tournament is at its peak, so he's definitely a player you have to watch for if you are an up-and-coming strategist player. And I mean, Shib, yeah, it's tough. Like, in context, you're right. That Psionic Seduction pushed him off that payload, or at least stunned a lot of players that were intending to touch, and
exactly
that they weren't left with a lot of time, man. So that's brutal. Hey, listen, as somebody that's a part of, like, sometimes it can be like that, right? Sometimes all it takes is one guy distracting everybody to push everybody off that payload. You know, I mean, I was a part of one of the worst C9s in history of esports and hero shooters on the positive side, and it feels good when they don't touch that objective, when they don't touch that payload, because of, in my case, Erster. So even though some people maybe could be seen as feeding, like maybe Kaluge a little bit too far forward with a Psionic Seduction or something, but if you're in a situation like that, a very intense situation, and you add another element to touching that payload, like you said, Shib, that 1 second of distraction can definitely get you stamped forward in the tournament.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think what was happening there is they were dancing to try to make sure they weren't getting hit by the Psionic Seduction, and then when they realized the time, they probably peaked out and maybe were caught by Psionic Seduction at the very last second, which absolutely, you know, turned the tides of that fight. That is probably what happened, I would imagine, which is the difficulty with gauging the timing in the length there of Psionic Seduction. If you get a little bit of those ticker, which it does grow over time, even if you fall away for a moment, it doesn't necessarily fall. But we will see what happens as we go into map 3 right after this break. Envy up by 2, but don't count out Ego, who have turned it around before. Can they reverse sweep?
Maybe. I mean, it's definitely in the cards. I think that Ego Death is a team that can do it. I mean, for sure. This team has a solid coach, apparently, according to them in Jitward, and I think that this whole team definitely has the mentals to kind of stay on top. They talked about how, you know, you have to act like a pro if you want to be a pro, and for them, you know, that's about maintaining that sort of posture, that steadfast, you know, just ability to make the correct decisions and not panic. So right now for Ego, that's the major thing. Like, sure, you know, what just happened is brutal. You didn't touch the cart, but it happens, right? It happens to the best of teams. It just happens in hero shooters, especially Marvel Rivals. I mean, the payload in this game, you have to cap it, right? That's a big thing. It can flip sides between attacking and defending sides if you don't touch that objective and you don't control it. So there's a lot of things in Marvel Rivals and the hero shooter genre that are different in this game, alongside the fact that the cart has like every single cart has like a rectangle shib in terms of the hitbox. So sometimes it can be awkward if you don't touch it or whatever. If you do touch it, I was watching the Oceanic qualifiers. There was a Mr. Fantastic player in the early stages of the open qualifiers. I think this team went 0-9 or something, but they still qualified because the Oceanic region's funny. But this team had a Mr. Fantastic player in the Oceanic region. They were about to cap out and they needed to stay on the cart, but the Mr. Fantastic pulled himself off the cart. And the map ended because they lost. Crazy things have happened before, and at least they're not that Mr. Fantastic player, because that guy's going to have to live with that for at least the rest of this year.
Yeah, that's brutal. You hate to hear that, and there's going to be clips of that for days, probably sent to him 24/7. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. The toughest part here is not only the C9 there at the end, but the C9 win in a winnable game. I think they had the momentum heavily shifted in their favor, at least in the last like 3 or 4 fights. Obviously, you saw the side of Envy clutch up, and they started making some good plays there and did sweep them one time. But I do think the momentum was, you know, leaning towards Ego there during that attack.
I mean, it's another off topic. We'll never see Mr. Fantastic. Is that another hero we haven't seen? I think Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't seen him. Yeah,
at all. Yeah, Mr. Fantastic, Thor, some of those characters haven't made a presence, which I think is for a good reason, because there's like weird interactions with Mr. Fantastic can happen. It was like an off topic thing. But like sometimes you accidentally on Mr. Fantastic bring a Doctor Strange to your team who has Aya Agamotto, and then you get your whole team Aya Agamotto. Like, crazy stuff could happen like that. And I mean, we're probably not going to see that because, you know, nobody plays that. Truth be told, the horrible character. He's good though.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, well, that's going to be coming up here shortly. We will see the new Fantastic Four. I'm excited for it, but yeah, I'm with you. I mean, there's a couple heroes that haven't been chosen. What's that? Of course. Yeah, we'll make the drive.
With me?
Yeah. Across the states.
Wife.
That's it.
I'll drive over to see the movie with you. That sounds fun. So
yeah, just a quick day trip.
Hours?
So, you know, a little more than that, I think. In New York to Arizona might be a bit of a hike, but no.
Just like the distance between you and China, right? I mean, just the distance between America and China, right? Where all these players will be going. I mean, that.
Ooh, good segue.
That might be a lot of these. We haven't talked about that, by the way, at all. Like the fact that this will probably be a lot of these players' first time traveling to a new country to compete in an international tournament for $500,000. Like, that is a massive deal that's involved in the Ignite series, right?
Yeah, that is insane to think about, and it's just a totally different playing field. I think we talk about teams showing up here on the big stage, but you know, when you're in person, I mean, you've had experience with it. It's even more nerve-wracking, and you see people crumble, and you see people, you know, shine. You see those moments come to fruition. So I know you've obviously had that kind of experience playing in front of you know, a bunch of eyes, but it is definitely something different.
You know what the biggest thing, by the way, which we ignored there, was the ban phase. Sorry about that, chat. But listen, at least in this esport, we don't have a cat deciding the bans. You know what I mean? That's definitely a big deal. I think that we have the players having the agency with the protect and ban system, because by God, as somebody that had to deal with a cat choosing which heroes could be picked and banned during a certain week, I think I'll be triggered for the rest of my life. I'll tell you that much. And listen, I think there's a reason that my name is Dogman, because now I'm gonna go find every cat. I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna put a little fedora hat in front of them and tell, hey, pick a number, and maybe one of those numbers takes you to the vet one day, and you don't want to go there.
Oh my goodness! As we do see a consistent ban here, though, from the side of Ego, it doesn't look like they're changing too much, man. They are going to get rid of that MO, which did cause some problems, right? So that is going to be the change of pace that we see so far. Kalu's going to be on the thing here, trying to help out with Cal. You had that conversation of the fastball special when you have Wolverine and the thing. That is a very powerful and slept on team up that we find a lot here in the pro scene. We may be saying why the thing, that damage reduction is good to protect, but also it's that team up. It is so valuable, and obviously those haymakers into shield comps.
Absolutely. I mean, we've heard of the strength of Wolverine and EMEA also over here in North America, and you can see exactly why. I mean, Soko falls, Envy again with the advantage here, Shiv. I mean, Ego Death has fallen apart yet again.
Yeah, and that is some early pressure. Speedery gonna find one here. Cal onto Far. Zatex turns around on Speedery. Nero, though, again onto Sable. Cal onto Zatex, all over the place now. And they have a ton of free space. Can they get back here with the teleport? Looks like they will. Likely gonna see them hold on to it here. So you typically see teams at this level wait a little bit until the reses come through. Now you engage with the portal at the last second, so your entirety of your team can have this fight. And out goes the Bond to slow up the pace. Wolverine potentially looking for the tackle off the Bond, but no, not able to get anything there from the side of Cal, who does play Wolverine incredibly well. Window onto Cell. Far back onto Kaluge as it's 5 versus 5 in this fight. Ultimates are up here for Envy, and the Meteor from downtown onto Far. Good pick there for Window. Cal using that last stand onto Zatex. Window onto Momentum, and Envy are heavily up in numbers, and they will push this thing through point 1.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, usually we've seen Far dodge those ultimates well. By the way, Cal and the Spawn ready to go and switch characters to something else. Nice little Jeff spray indeed. Going over to the Hella for the second phase of the map as things enter, you know, a bit more of not necessarily one-dimensional phase, but there's not a lot of flank angles here on this point of the map in second phase. Aegis path. We just have that top left window, and that's kind of about it. So this phase pretty much open, and that's kind of a good spot, honestly, for, you know, things like that Winter Soldier, and right now for this Storm, who has that right side peek angle.
Yeah, this is a defensible position here, but not when you have a Hurricane coming at your face here. Will they be able to counteract? And yeah, we are going to see Sambo using that Cap ult to keep the team healthy. You'll see them all running in that path. We mentioned it before. Make sure you're running in the path there of Cap if you want that shield. Momentum finding windows. Atex on a Kaluge. They're popping Qs. Envy only has Kaluges after this, as we do see the invisible boundary up, and they, you know, pretty strong with the Storm. You are able to take some more free space when you have that invisible boundary, as they obviously cannot see through it until they enter the zone. Speedery here trying to get some alt charge back. Storm does that incredibly quickly, as they do set up for a next fight.
Yeah, definitely on this side of the point, we see, you know, very aggressive plays by Cal and onto Far. He's going to go down early. I mean, if they're able to kind of control that sort of right side peeking that we were talking about earlier in this game, obviously you peek over the right side shoulder of the character model, which can create, you know, attacker-sided advantage, especially in Digital Path, as you have to, like, play back and don't have those right side peaks that Envy does. And they're taking full advantage. 3 minutes left to go. Maybe if we had an option to change between right and left shoulder, that could be huge. Maybe potential update later on, but regardless, here comes an engage now from Ego Death.
Self is going to engage here, does have the ability to use that supernova. Clobbering time goes out, it finds a Fuke. Bang, down goes Zatex. Good combination there. So go right back on his Speedery, though. Even in the odds, double Meteor finding value as they are just continuing to hold on. Ego is down 1 right now. Cal up in the sky, low on HP, putting a ton of damage out. Will they be able to get a pick? Did I just see Cap space pop up there? Soko is going to turn it around on Cal, though, in great patience. And way to hold on here for Ego. And we do know this spot is very defensible unless Speedery comes in with a Hurricane, like we said. Zatex window is going to find Self. Nero on the Ensemble, and they are retaking this. Even being down in numbers, good plays there. Kaluge going to keep haymakering them back to their spawn door.
Yeah, I mean, they're just kind of walking at him right now. 4 minutes in the third phase of the map. You have to feel for Ego Death right now that they have to get some sort of momentum. I mean, you see even pulled on the backside. Soko does find Speedily, but, you know, he's going to go down. Did have that teleport back to the other spawn. Regardless, right now, Ego Death, what do they do? Captain America's waiting to go on that left side, Ensemble side. Maybe the dive can come through from Self, but the full momentum shift had just gone in, or sorry, the full entirety of the momentum has gone in favor of Envy, not momentum on the side of Ego Death. So 3 minutes and 15 seconds left to go. We'll see if momentum in his team can come back.
Yeah, Ego is holding on to a slight, alt advantage by 1 as we do see the supernova go out. Will it find any purchase? A ton of damage out, but a ton of cooldowns being used to defend right back. There is the clobbering time as it finds a few. Nero gonna clutch up again. We find that at this state of the game, Luna Snow, raw damage month onto Self, and great plays here by Envy, who have a ton of space and positioning. Now they have 3 numbers up as Ego is gonna have to retake, drop back, or just hold on here on point for as long as possible and reset as a team. There will be no portal blocking at this point. Nobody on Strange. Speedery finding Ensemble to clean up, and they are pressing through with 2 minutes and 32 on the clock.
Double Shredded ultimates up, though. Ego Death have to find some momentum. Window right now has that Meteor M as well to connect onto either Far or the Loki player of Ego Death, because I've said momentum too many times. They're about to come in now, and he's ready for it every time. It just feels like Window connects with his Meteor M's. We'll see if he can do it again.
And the tackle goes out, but great work there. And that goes to show you why Invis is so strong. You see Month push the self on Wolverine right off during that tackle, and that is super valuable. You got to keep that in mind and hold on to that push for that moment. Kaluj with clobbering time again. Found value last time. Will it happen? No. Down goes Kaluj early as Ego's now retaking his space back, but we do see the pop here from Speedery. Not able to get any picks just yet. Team likely going to drop back and reset, potentially holding on as, ooh, no, they're committing. Window finds self. That's a great counter here up with the Meteor M on the Speedery, eating some of that damage there from the side of Cal. Soko and Zatex find 2 more, and they do shove them back with a minute 33 on.
Yeah, Soko's been an absolute mainstay today. I think he's sort of taken the limelight from Self. He's been so good with these Meteor M's, with the picks on the Magneto. Right now, he's definitely keeping Ego Death alive. Minute and 20 seconds left to go. Envy's going to walk in now with their ultimates, though, so it's their time to move. Sombo, though, with the Freedom Charge, I mean, he's going to enable his team to sustain for quite a while.
Yeah, and that is the advantage of having Cap. It's essentially another strat out. They are just going to use it right now. Actually, to engage Hyper Aggro right onto Cal. Cal low, going to burn an invisible boundary to counteract, and that's some values. We see crystals get popped here too. Window taking this off angle from downtown. Zatex with the pull, and they collapse onto Window. Great pull there by Zatex to give them a number, shoving them again back into the spawn door, and they've got to regroup as they are down to 1 fight territory, but you can't fall like that. Sambo Kaluj with the haymaker, and they will press in heavy, and now it could be a stagger fest. You got to see who gets the picks. Here comes Speedery popping off here with the ult. Doesn't find anything, using that dagger storm to keep the team up. Great play there on the defensible side of Far.
Yeah, I mean, this has been beautiful from the strategist of Ego Death. They also have to commit the greens there. Countering the Meteor M, now coming through and saving each other from the Dance of the Butterflies. Can they stay alive? The Dagger Storm, like you said, such a strong ability. And right now, Ego Death, their strategists are keeping the team in it.
Yeah, 55 HP per second there inside of that bubble. And here comes Zatex. Does land on a few. Out goes the dance floor, and they collapse. It does get the reset too. Soko, great job again with the Meteor as more are hit, but everything is being popped now. Nero bringing out the dance floor. We see Far using the Eternal Bond. Cal finds Zatex. It is back and forth here, folks. Who can proceed forward? Kaluj, great position, way to dive up there. Nero onto Self, and that's another number in the favor of Envy. And we are in OT. They've got to stay on the point. Do not make that mistake again, but on the opposition this time, as we do see another Dance of the Butterfly. Does it find value? It does. Down goes Far. Window onto Soko, and it's getting terrifying now if you're on the side of Ego, and this could be it. Pushing through point 3 as they will stagger in. Cal gonna sweep Sumble, and that could be enough, but you do see over on the right side Self getting ready to hold on to this point for as long as possible with the last stand. Does it land on a few? No, not able to do it. Window up, ready to land the Meteor, gonna throw it through the door, and that's enough for them to push all 3 points.
I mean, we were about to say earlier, it was looking like Ego Death was what they looked like earlier. Like, it looked like Ego Death early on in this tournament was a top team, able to take out maps, take wins over top teams. But today, I mean, against Envy, they just keep faltering at the worst possible time, man. It just feels like they just collapse last second. And, you know, Envy, definitely a deserving team. They played so well around their spawn. Kaluj with that pick on Ensemble, able to come back through. Ego Death's strategists have so much pressure on them right now. I mean, it looks so hectic, so hard to play, especially versus a talented Psylocke player like Speedily, and then Cal on the opposite side, hitting shots from across the map. So there is so much pressure on them, and they're doing such a good job to keep the team alive, but it just feels like they're collapsing. The whole team is collapsing at the worst possible time. So on the attack, you know, or on the defense rather, or no, sorry, now on their attack, they really have to take a deep breath, come together as a unit, you know, relax a little bit. It's been tough for, like, looking at Self. I mean, he's had no final hits that map. Same thing with Somble. They haven't been able to find the synergy between him and Self throughout that map. And, you know, maybe on the attack, things will be a little bit easier to set up, potentially just kind of, you know, do your typical stuff, because right now, Envy, they're really good against dive. I mean, we talked to Cal in one of the interviews. He said how against Ego Death in their group stages, the match to Ego Death, the answer to Ego Death was just mark Self, right? Make sure somebody's always looking at him. And I think that's tough. That you talked about it earlier, how Envy won 2 on the group stages, Shib. It does feel like right now Envy just specifically is a really, really bad matchup for Team Ego Death.
Yeah, Nero there, gotta show love. Just 8 finals, looking super clean, most healing in the entire lobby, and only it hasn't fallen one time. The backline here for Envy has played disgusting month, obviously marking self here with that push and pull every time you see a last stand, and as I say that, still gets pulled away, but was just a little bit delayed there. But that mark, we talk about marking self, shown right there is Cal back over here on Magneto, said his, make that 2 picks onto Far, make it 3, 4, Cal, a demon with the penta. Are you kidding me? Said it was his first time on Magneto yesterday.
Yeah, this character's disgusting. This is another reason why when we talk about ego death, this is the worst thing they struggle against. Is this three Vanguards, 3 Strategist compositions. We saw them struggle against FlyQuest on Araco. We're seeing it again today on Age of Self Path. A minute off the clock already. They found the opening pick with Self on that fastball special, but they're now having to deal with Envy again on this triple Vanguard composition, who are another team that is very good at playing it.
And we are going to hold again tight here from the side of Envy, running that triple and just maintaining the space window onto Zaytek's early alts. Are now going to be back with Ego. They could push through here. Soko trying to find and look for a strangling prison combination, as Samble now is going to be on the Squirrel. Samble with that ultimate find Speedery. Month goes down, but the res comes up for Month. Samble onto Cal now. The Squirrel Girl we talked about, maybe a little underrated, finding a few picks far onto Month. Momentum on a window, and that's going to push them through this opening, but they will teleport back here likely and ensure 3 fights.
I think it's always rough. I feel like we always see teams win at these 2-minute 30-second timer on the clock, but I'm not going to say the death sentence necessarily, but like you said, Chip, they do get those 3 fights with this portal, and here's another one.
Yeah, and this is a strategy we see a lot at this level of play. You guarantee 3 fights. You know, a lot of people are confused as to these portals, but they're doing it as fast as possible because then they can walk back if they were to lose this fight this early on, as the cart is not even around the corner yet. And that is a strategy we see consistent across a lot of these maps. Zaytex with that damage boost from the Storm of Self, gonna press forward, outgo all the cooldowns in the dance floor. But look at that patience. Notice the dance floor did not come out until the shield goes down, and that is next level play. Cal finds 1 Month onto Momentum, turning it right back at him. Great hold as Window finds Soko. A full team switch here as Cal is now on the Doctor Strange, and they do hold on.
Yeah, I wonder if that was intentional as well from Kaluj. I mean, that clobbering time came out just as Zaytex was finished with his ultimate, so timed that out perfectly, connected with the stun after that Punisher was no longer CC immune, and now Ego Death, they have a massive hill to climb. I mean, Team Envy have done so well on that second attack, or second defense. 1 minute and 14 seconds left on the clock now for Ego Death. They do have that Hurricane ready to go, but like you mentioned, Month is going to be able to react to it, and they have Vanguard ults.
And here comes the Hurricane from Self, and now it gets matched immediately here by Month, just to kind of stall. We do see the squirrels, and here comes the Eye. It finds a bunch, and they collapse on it. 2, 3, 4. Self finds a pick back, but what a play, and what a Agamotto there from Cal, and they get a 5-piece and shove them back to the spawn door again. 45 on the clock. Wow, Envy is playing lights out in this series.
Yeah, they are playing incredibly well, and we'll see if they can keep it up. They do have that see you later ready to go from Speedily once he comes back from spawn. Ego Death, though, you know, maybe this is their fight. They can come back through. They have that Punisher ultimate. They pop it early here.
Yeah, and Far finds Kaluj early. Down goes 3. That's what they needed. Make that 4 as they will shove through. The team is going to reset and be able to touch here, but they don't have ults on either side. Should be a neutral. Actually, like you said, Speedery will have that see ya as they do go forward. Kaluj likely going to get the clobbering time, but the wall out here for Soko may be enough for them to not be able to touch. They're coming from the high side. We'll see.
From the high side, but they have 4 on cart. Yeah, here they come. Ooh, wow. 7 meters left to go. They touch, and Speedily, he tosses the ult out, but does go down.
Yeah, and that is a good play. Cal gonna find Zaytex now on the cap window onto Self. Wow, evening these numbers. That is, it is a 4v4 now. Anybody's fight. Got to stay on the point. Don't let that happen again. As we are in OT, Window finds momentum, and now Envy again up in numbers. Can they push through? 3-0 against Ego in a matchup we considered pretty even as the teleport is coming through. Did I just see a cancel? I'm not 100% sure what just happened there. Maybe the teleport did come through. We just missed it there. As we do see the bond get pushed out here. Envy is holding on. No, Soko on Nero. Yes, and here we go as Ego now finds 4. The teleport comes through, and they clutch up in this moment to get point 1.
And that was all on Far staying alive, looking at his health full throughout that fight, right? Dropping down to 1 HP, dropping down super low, able to build the ultimate up at the very last second. You maybe sometimes can get your ultimate canceled like we've seen before out of Cloak and Dagger players, specifically when the Loki goes for the copy, because sometimes the animation comes out a little bit later. But regardless, Far barely able to stay alive, pops that ultimate off, keeps the team alive. And we talked about how good, you know, Self is, Sombo, Soko, but I think the strategist line of Ego Death definitely doesn't get enough credit. They kept themselves alive. That team, that back line, really doing amazing work for Ego Death.
Yeah, but Envy with the full hold here. Only 2 minutes left on as we do see Cell finding Nero early. That is a huge pick again, and they're going to collapse and take out Windows. Atex on a Kaluge. Make that 4 as Speedery Cell finds Speedery, and they're just going to clean it up here on a month. Again, Ego, once they find these, it's like these overtime fights. Once they win, it's like the momentum just heavily shifts, like a light switch gets turned on, and they keep the pressure progressing forward.
Absolutely. They need to win one more fight here to close out on the second phase. Although, you know, a lot of teams we do see struggle in the Streets phase, I think, of these maps. Usually it's on that third phase. It's a little bit more defensible, but we'll see if they can do it here, Team Envy.
Holy moly, and just flying in the sky. Cal looking for something. Zatex with the bubble is going to press in, and that's a huge early start. And that is 2, and the boundary not even able to hold on to the point. That's not going to be enough for them as they are up for the clobbering time. Can they collapse? Will they find more value? Speedery out of Self. They need to hold on here. They need to make a play, or they will get point to a minute on at this point. Nero going to pull out the dance floor. They're just holding on without numbers, and now they're evened out. Momentum. Will this happen for Soko, who hasn't missed, does miss here. The bubble goes out as well. Zatex falls. Speedery is on one right now and finding 3. Can they find 4?
I mean, potentially. I mean, they got grabbed to the backside. I mean, Speedery is just carrying it himself, closing it out on Ego Death. I mean, that backside flank, able to connect onto momentum, just not ready for that pressure that comes from Psylocke. And that change over this character has definitely enabled Envy a lot more. But 26 seconds left to go. Ego Death now coming through. No ultimates either. Self back over to that Wolverine. This could be a close hold from Envy too. They don't even want to touch the payload.
Yeah, this is going to be tricky. I like the idea of heading out this right side, and maybe we'll see Punisher using that zip line to get a touch here. Is, you know, it's outside of that, it's likely going to be Sambo, on the Venom, who will get the touch. 2 seconds on, full commit, and now they're collapsing. Good touch there by Sambo, who has to burn that E. 57% to ultimate, already getting healed back up. Great crystals here from the side of Ego, who are stalling, and everyone's healthy. It's all about ults here as Envy is up in ults. Yes, we do see the clobbering time get used. Speedery collapses on a momentum. Cal onto Far and Zatex. Cal on this Wolverine just popping off again, turned around as these duelists are making so much happen. Month onto Soko, and this is the danger zone. This could spell the end for Ego Death, who are so close but not able to do it as Envy progresses forward.
Yep, 3-0 for Team Envy. They will play the winner of Shroud X and Techie XD in this lower bracket to potentially secure themselves into land. They're 1 game away, and a statement win from them, right, Shib? I think that we've seen Envy sort of have a tough beginning of the tournament, I think, in terms of the playoffs, but we've known how good they are, and as a unit, this team looked pretty formidable, right? The only real chance Ego Death stood towards the very end was really holding onto that Storm Dagger, or the Dagger Storm, really holding onto those greens. Once you saw that Loki pop those crystals early, it was pretty much a death sentence, just because Speedery was so close to the Dance of Butterflies. Cal was so close to his own ultimate with that last stand. So really tough fight to end out there. But I mean, huge shout out to all of Ego Death. They really played their hearts out, and I think that this is the future of Marvel Rivals Esports. A lot of the players on this team.
Yeah, a team that is obviously surprising a ton, has gained a ton of fans, right? It's definitely not going to be the last time we see them. Really well played across the board. Nero got to show love again onto that strat line. Talk about that hit scan backline. Nero, there's a lot of that Ultron, but that Luna, it went unleashed. A ton of value, not only in the healing front, but with those final hits. 9 for the side of Nero, who not only had the most healing by a few thousand, also up there in damage with almost 12k. So really well done again by Nero with that pointed damage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Team Envy deserve all of the credit as well. I mean, Ego Death is a scary team to go against. We've seen teams falter to Ego Death early on in the tournament as well. I mean, they made it into the second round of the upper bracket for a reason. These guys are so good, and Envy 3-0'd them, right? So what does it say about Envy? I think that says this team really is coming together at the right time. It's been tough as you adjust to a new patch, as Cal's talked about. I mean, he said he kind of had struggles. Dongmin also said he had struggles. So it seems right now, Shib, all of the pro players are sort of feeling a bit of unease, right, to this new patch, and Envy finally starting to come together, finally starting to get string together wins map after map. They're looking more comfortable, and I'd be scared, I think, going against Team Envy, whether I'm Shroudx or Techie XD, because right now Team Envy is looking a lot better than they did earlier on in the tournament.
Yeah, this is what we expected to see from them at the start of the tournament, and I think we were a little shocked that they were losing, right? Like, they had a streak there of 3, almost 4 losses in a row, did clutch up, and it seems like we said before, a light switch was just turned on, and they are playing incredibly as a team. That is now, I believe, out of that, it'd be 5 in a row against Ego, and a team that has been surprising and upsetting a lot of the top teams. To take 5 straight maps against them showcases that you are learning and you understand how to do your homework against a team.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm curious to see who we talk to on Team Envy. I'm literally messaging Gator. I want to talk to Jader, but like, we'll see what happens, because he's a former teammate of mine. I think it'd be funny to get an interview with them. But regardless, you know, like you said, Shib, I think Envy, you know, they're going to be a team to watch out for sure. I think they're still a lot of people's favorites now, especially after that game after Ego Death, that can move forward. But, you know, it did feel like Ego Death's number was found by Envy, right? That's the difficult aspect of this team, is that, you know, how much can we really give towards Envy? Obviously, they played it very, very well, but also they really just knew what Ego Death was going to do and just played around it perfectly.
And the entirety of their team looked insane. Speedily with 16 finals, Window on the Vanguard role with 16, Cal with 20 on the Wolverine. Their entire team was getting picks and finding value in the neutrals, getting a ton of value with ultimates. Really well done by their team. Cal said he would get it done, and I think we're going to have that conversation with him again. Welcome back, Cal.
This is the last time I'm doing an interview. Let that be known. I'm not letting my team pawn it off to me ever again.
What are they doing? What are they doing? What are they saying to you? There's like, Cal, get in there. Just go do it for us.
No, it's terrible. They're all terrible. We win. Our manager Tasman was like, all right, who's doing the interview? Who's doing it? The radio silence. Nobody says a single word. Nobody says anything. And it's like, come on, I need somebody. And I'm just like, just send me the link. None of them do it. But this is the last one.
I mean, we got to
Hunt is doing the next one.
I mean, You listen. You're doing all this for your boys over at your team. You got to like promote something here. Your Twitch, something. Just like, you deserve the primage for sure, being the champ. I mean, your team, bunch of babies over here, not trying to show up for the interview. So obviously, you gotta promote something here right now, right this instance.
Nah, I got nothing to promote.
Oh my god! God dang it, Cal.
Buy my jersey. That's it. Buy my jersey.
Buy his jersey.
That's it.
He's even a company man. Are you kidding me? Tasmo, give this man a raise. Jesus, Cal. I mean, obvious question, first of all, after that series. It was an incredible match, and I think, you know, you really come alive, I think, as the tournament progresses. We talked about your Magneto playing that triple Vanguard, triple strategist, and I think also against Ego Death. I mean, what is it about those guys? You talked to us in an interview before saying how you kind of just match self. Is it still that same strategy? Do you guys just feel like you have Ego Death's number, or are you guys kind of hitting new peaks right now as a unit?
I think we're definitely improving pretty fast. I think we kind of had them downloaded because we got to watch them play yesterday against a team that I would say is around our caliber. And for like the Vanguard stuff, I mean, like, I actually put on a clinic on Magneto today. Like, I was doing insane things. There was one of the fights where I killed 5, and I was kind of astonished that nobody shot at me. But I mean, we just have them downloaded.
Yeah, position was crazy. I mean, I need to ask, as a team, what changed? It seems like, you know, you guys had that spurt where it was 3 losses in a row, and you guys look lights out now. It's like something switched. Is there anything you can attribute to that?
I stopped staying up till 6 a.m. playing different games. I think that probably helped us a bit, and my team trusted me more because of that. And we kind of locked in. Like, we want a little vacation. We want to go to LAN. We want to win, and so we've kind of just been taking it a little bit more seriously.
Love it.
Yep, fair play, and it definitely it goes to show that. So maybe, you know, we'll talk about matchups later on and stuff, but maybe to focus more on the game. Just in terms of you, I know that this game has also, like, in terms of the ban system that we have, it's forced a lot more flexibility out of you and your team. I mean, what is it like being a player in Marvel Rivals right now? Is it hard, obviously, flexing to so many heroes? Is that like the number one thing you might say to, you know, somebody that's trying out the game for the first time? Do you want to just have them play everything? Like, what do you think is your take on Marvel Rivals as a game right now with this like ban system that we have?
I think it takes away from players just playing like certain things. Like, I wouldn't really say that I'm like a DPS player. I'd say I'm just like I'm a Rivals player, you know. And I think like to really play the game at its peak and to play how it was meant to be played, I think you kind of have to be like that, not just play one role.
Yeah, I mean, you're showcasing that you've hit every single role in a ton of these games. I see the next lineup here. It's ShroudX or Techie. Is there a team that you are more afraid of playing? Not necessarily afraid is the right word. Was there a team that you wouldn't want to play out of the two of those?
Oh, give me them both. It don't matter. Give me them both. I'll get it done again.
Throw them to the wolves, man. Throw them to the wolves. I like it. Then what sparked this like new sense of confidence about you? I know you kind of always had that air. Maybe the interview, you know, being thrown into the interview every time has made you a stud when it comes to it. I mean, what sort of reinvigorated that confidence? Is it just playing that game more, like you said?
I don't know. I'm just trying to have some fun. I'm done being Mr. Nice Guy. I'm done being nice. We're gonna win everything. It's destined. It'll happen. That's about it.
I love it.
I'm just sick of it.
Let's honestly leave it off there. I mean, Cal, I mean, just what a great game for you guys, and I think we definitely need people like you in the scene. So thank you so much, Cal. I appreciate you, man. Any last words? Anything you want to say before we let you go?
I got no shout outs. I hate my team. I'm not doing this interview stuff ever again. That's all them. I'm done.
It's always fun talking to you, though, man. I love the responses and the confidence. So I'm sure we might see you again if they do this to you again. But man, it's been a ton of fun, and I'll see you soon.
See ya. Thank you.
Thanks, Cal. Appreciate it. Yeah, I was talking.